let's begin. Hello people, welcome back to the channel. Right, okay, I'm going to keep this briefly short. I've got a MacBook Air. It's one of the older ones, and let me tell you what model that is, the A1466. The problem what we have is that the MacBook is fine, but we've got a headphone jack or broken inside the headphone port basically here, and sadly this stupid camera won't be able to sort of show you this, but you can just about see that the gap is kind of filled there. All right, so I'm going to show you a little trick how to remove this basically without sort of poking it, because you can't poke it and flick it out because it's quite far deep in there. All right, so first thing first is I've already taken the screws. I'm going to disconnect the battery. All right, so the lid, let's take off the lid, put the lid away. Interesting why that was off. Okay, now we need to disconnect the battery, so I'm going to get rid of the battery by pulling onto this. So battery is now disconnected. Absolutely amazing. Just make sure I've got nothing bits. I had a dodgy Samsung laptop before where the touch buttons weren't working. Now this is a common problem with Samsung R series. These are the older Samsung basically, so that's that. Now I will clean all that out basically. There's a lot of dust. I may consider sort of refreshing the thermal paste as well on that. But that's not the reason why it's here. All right. But as a matter of courtesy, if I feel that I want to do it, I'll do it. But that is not the reason why it's here. The reason why it's here is to take this thingy out, basically, this broken piece out. Now, for me to sort of inspect and see if the port is damaged, I won't know until I take this out, basically. So first thing first is what I might do is let's probably fucking bollocks. Let's just dust that. Okay, so yeah, that's not a broken piece. That's just a clip in it. Did that just break now? Right. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take my chances and just take the thing out basically, because this means very, very time consuming. You've got to sort of take things out, dismantle things, and that is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, so how am I going to do this? Yes, wire, solder paste, and look, I've already done one from an iPhone before. All right, so, and unfortunately, because of the dash cam, the webcam I'm using, it's not going to be very, very helpful. So I'm going to nib, get rid of that. That was the broken piece from an iPhone, so that can go in the bin. Now the battery's disconnected, so that's absolutely fine. I can mess around with this. I'm not going to sort of, it's not going to cause any big issues. Secondly, you've got to be very precise so you're not touching the outer layer of the plastic. However, if you feel that you might mess things up, then I would recommend putting a bit of a foil over it. And maybe I can demonstrate what I mean by putting a bit of a foil over in it. So just give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is let's poke in the middle like that, and then start. Hang on, let me get a flat screwdriver. Tiny. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, and all I'm doing is just working around the edges, just so that I'm covering those plastic areas basically. It's not going to cover it entirely, but we'll cover as much as we can. So as I'm sort of using the soldering iron, it's not sort of thinking it. Right, okay, so what's next? I've already got the wire, tiny little wire, single strand. All right. I do need to make a slight change on this webcam. Just re-enable autofocus. Yeah, I'll probably do that because otherwise I'm not getting a clear image. Okay. Next thing, extractor fan. As always, when you're soldering, that's a critical thing. Make sure that the soldering iron is on. Yes, it is, but let me power it up on the bench. Okay, let's move this out of the way because that's a huge obstruction. And what am I going to do is I'm going to use a bit of solder paste, low melt solder paste, which is this. Nothing too fancy. It's mechanics. All right, mechanic solder paste, which is an SN63 PB37, 35 gram, and this is 183 degrees Celsius. And I'm sorry because of the light, the height. See if I can get this covered a little bit better. This is absolute friggin' joke. This thing just focuses like bullshit. That's what we're using. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tiny amount of solder paste inside that port. Make sure that it's coming out. Just a tiny amount. Look at how tiny I'm talking about. Very small. Look, it's just about, you've got it. All right, just a small drop. And it's not doing it because the tip solder has dried. So let me get a bit more out from the back. All right, okay, so that's been done. Now what I'm going to do is I need a third hand, and because of the excessive light level, see if that does. I think that might be enough, but hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I do need somebody to hold the laptop, but it's not going to happen that. So all I'm doing is this, and I'll grab my soldering iron. But obviously I need the extractor fan to be at a higher level, so we shall do that. Get the soldering iron, and I'm hopeful that you can get all that. Just make a contact and allow the solder to make a joint through that. And what I would probably do now is get rid of that foil. Okay, just take that foil off. And are we ready for this? Hopefully this first attempt should do it. Nope, that didn't do it. That's very sad. Okay, so it looks like that it may be really stuck. That is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different type of solder. In fact, I'll use the low melt solder. Okay, and make another attempt. Now, if that does, failing these sort of attempts, I am going to sort of take the thingy out, and there we have it. All right. So the port has come out, and that's how I sort of take the the headphone jack out of broken port. Let me turn off this fan because it's very noisy. Sadly, I could not sort of compensate enough light, and I wasn't sort of. I'm really tired. I didn't want to set up my camcorder, the microscope, the digital microscope, to try and show you all this. So maybe next time, but I've given you a rough idea as to how you go about resolving such issues. There you go, I've pulled it out. Right, so the next stage is to sort of power on the unit and check and make sure we're getting sound. However, with the MacBook, obviously it chimes, so you should turn it on and hear a chime. It wasn't doing that before, basically. Give me one sec, let me grab my portable Hoover and I'm going to give it a quick brushing on the logic board. Right, okay, now since this has not been sort of what should I say, it's not, I don't think it's been opened by anybody else. I just can't see it. So what I'm going to do now, as a matter of courtesy, is to take off the heat sink and refresh the thermal paste, and I'll do that as a matter of courtesy. I'm not a tight git, you know. I do sort of work hard, and I do reward people who are humble and kind. I will work that. I will always sort of look after them. But sometimes you've got to be careful that you know, you're not getting too carried away, because then it's taking up your time. Basically, that won't be the one. Let's find out, because I've got a lot of. Let's see which is which. Oh yeah, that's the one. All right, so I'm going to attach a magnet to that, basically, so I'm not dropping these screws, because I don't have these spare screws lying around anyway. So let's take these off from the heat spreader. Hopefully my hand's not on the way and you can see what I'm doing. So this is, again, this is extra work. This has nothing to do with the work. That's just right. Okay, well, can I get away with sort of without taking everything else? Let's just have a look. Should be able to. But is this attached? Oh, flipping it. Yeah, there is a screw that's inside underneath the so I've got to be careful. Let me just grab a torch, because I can't see no. Fucking hell, no way, mate. No way. Right, okay. So what does that mean? Okay, let's see. Ah, man. Right, okay. Let me get the one of the bigger T, so I can slacken the hinges a little bit, basically. Well, in fact, there's three screws holding the screws, but two screws that's actually sort of holding that antenna cable, basically, or whatever it is. So let me take them off, so that then will slacken the thingy. This is extra work, remember. This is not part of the actual job itself, basically. I'm just purely doing that as a voluntary thing, basically. So this has nothing to do with the work, what it came in for, basically. So my job is done. Right, so that been removed. Okay, I have now a decent access to this screw. There's a screw. Okay, and then I can lift this up, and that should come out, basically, with ease, hopefully, without bumping into too much technicality. Or I don't have to even sit. Oh, ideally, if I can take it off, that's even better. So now, I hope I'm not ripping anything out. Okay, oh yeah, I see what's going on. I see. Fuck it. Alright, you stay where you are, lad. You stay where you are. Okay, you stay there. I've taken this out, give that a bit of a dust down. And then it's the matter of cleaning the old thermal paste, and then I'll be done for today. That's my end of shift today, basically. Sadly, the thing I suffer from is that this is, you know, at the moment it's a one-man show, so work, I have to be very consistent, and it's difficult for me to sort of take video footage of everything I do. It's not just computer fixing that I do. There's a lot of work, different work that I do get involved with. Basically, I'm a jack of all trade, if you'd like to call me that. Some are paid, some are voluntary, some that I enjoy and I do it voluntarily. So, okay, quite happy with that. Quite happy with this as well. Right, let's get some decent thermal compound, which is Arctic MX4. If you're living in the UK, believe me guys, the cost of stuffs are going up and up. On an average, I would say, well, in fact, I wouldn't say average, but I mean, do take my word back on that. You're talking easily 20-30p on many items. So sadly, that is just quite a right. Okay. I just wanted to conclude and prove the fact that the sound issues has returned, basically, well, gone away, and the sound is, or should be working. You should hear the chime and all this and that, basically, because once the headphone jack is inserted, you're not going to hear anything through the external the speakers, basically the MacBook speakers, just the way the headphone jack operates, basically. So I've refreshed the thermal paste because that was a bit of a messing around, basically. The fan's back on, the fan's connected to the logic board, everything else is connected to the logic board. So the moment of truth is basically I'm going to connect the battery, but before doing so, I just wanted to inspect a couple of wires that I believe had a bit of a distortion, basically. So let me sort of get this underneath the microscope and have a quick closer look at that and see it's not been damaged in any way. What I mean by that is the protective layer of the insulation of the cable, which I can see a lot better here, is not sort of damaged, because if it is, then it may sort of short some of the it may short the component out or something like that. So I just need to make sure that that is not the case here. Yeah, that's fine. I'm quite happy. You just want to be confirming, because this is, I believe this is the Wi-Fi antenna that's going in. You don't want to be sort of damaging the Wi-Fi section by shorting the antennas out. Right, okay, so everything's on as it should be. Fans on. Yep, okay, so moment of truth. Let's power this rascal on and let's see what happens. Okay, we should hear a chime. If it doesn't, then I'll have to boot up with, oh yeah, the chimes on. That's absolutely fine. Yep, you can probably just about hear the chime, so that's resolved the issue, basically. Yeah, absolutely fine. So that has resolved now. Thankfully, I'll shut it down. Yeah, that's done. Very nice attempt. Luckily that I didn't have to replace the DC the power board, basically, or the DC, I would say jack is the MagSafe board, power board, basically. So that's that. Yeah, okay, brilliant job, well done. So yeah, that's all guys. Look after yourself, stay well, stay safe, and I'll catch up with you in my next video. Bye for now.